Good evening. Welcome to the Glazov gang. Our gang members this evening, backed by popular demand, Dwight Schultz, who played Murdock on NBC's The A-Team, Georgette Gelbard, a partner at the ProjectOasis.org. It's an initiative to counter Islamism and Sharia at home and abroad. And Tommi Trudeau, a producer of films and music videos. He focuses all his creative efforts towards the advancement of human rights around the world and is, rumor has it, an unapologetic leftist. Is this true?
Well, I think I stray more towards the middle than the far left.
Okay, but you're a leftist who's friends with Nani Darwish.
Yes, of course.
Okay, so
she's one of my personal heroes.
Okay, so we're going to get into this. Ladies and gentlemen, the rule of the Glazov gang is, now Dwight is a member. We have 2 new members of the Glazov gang. Dwight, what is the rule of the Glazov gang?
I haven't a clue.
you were initiated?
California.
Yeah. So what is it?
Something.
You can, Dwight, you can check out anytime you like.
But you can never leave.
Exactly.
Oh,
okay, so that's the rule of...
I love that song.
I have a very small hard drive.
Okay, so you're all gang members now. You can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave, okay?
All right.
Thank you very much. The topic of this segment, George Zimmerman, arrested, charged, second-degree murder. Is this a persecution here by political correctness? How do you see what's happening here? Dwight, let's begin with you.
Well, I do believe that it is something that they had to do, because I think they see race riots coming down the pike. You have the New Black Panther Party calling for blood in the streets. This protects Zimmerman, though. They have a trial. They I saw the affidavit today. It's very, very weak. It's not a very strong case based on what was written in the affidavit. So my assumption is there's going to be a very quick trial, and he will be convicted, but it will be on a lesser charge, and they will avoid the racial strife.
Just a second, but if he's charged with second-degree murder, first of all, what do you think of the charge of second-degree murder?
I think they had to do it.
But what do you think they'll lessen it during?
I think he won't be convicted of second-degree murder. Not based on the definition of the charge.
Mm-hmm. But he's safe now. His family said that he might get his first night's sleep because he feels safer in jail than outside.
I think that they had to do this for the rule of law.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Georgette?
I felt that Obama really, if there is any type of rioting, if he's found innocent, I would lay the blame at Obama's feet, because he weighed in and he took a position when he could have used his podium to create calm. He didn't. He stood shoulder to shoulder with Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton, and he could easily have changed that. The thing also is, I'm not sure what choice the police had, because there is the stand your ground law in Florida, and if they would have arrested him and he was innocent, the police would have been boiling in a pot by now. So, I don't know. I think it's. I thought this guy, this Florida representative, also of the Black Panther Party, Mikhail Mohammed. I mean, he said that Zimmerman should fear for his life. I mean, we're dealing with that. I think some of the things I heard that he was accused of, that he had done, if they're true, they're terrible. He should be convicted. But I don't know. I just thought that the police had no choice because of the Florida law.
Also, what's very strange is that they're saying things that we actually don't know. There's this whole thing, Dwight, you discussed it last week, how, Zimmerman followed him even after they told him not to follow him. But we don't even know that for sure. And Zimmerman's brother the other night on Piers Morgan said, he implied that actually that did not happen. There's a possibility here that Zimmerman went back to his car and then that Trayvon Martin came and assaulted him. I mean, I'm not saying that that's what happened, but the key is that we don't know what happened.
That's right.
But the media already has its narrative.
Well, I mean, that NBC did what they did, editing that tape, when they have someone like Al Sharpton ready to take advantage of a falsehood, really, and to stir up the anger and resentment is an astonishing thing to happen in this country.
Tommy?
Well, I think the media frenzy over this has been crazy, and this case has been practically tried in the court of public opinion, which is tragic. Leading this whole frenzy was the Reverend Al Sharpton, and if I could say something to the Reverend Al, it would be, Reverend Sharpton, I believe you are very sincere, and I admire you for that, but you can be sincerely wrong. And I would call to mind Proverbs 25:8, do not rush hastily into court, for you will be greatly ashamed when you lose the case. And he was in the public eye constantly screaming for Zimmerman to be immediately arrested. And all the while, Special Prosecutor Angela Corey was very meticulously, patiently putting together the case with the facts. And I read the affidavit, and I think they have a relatively strong case. What I think they're going to do is go for second-degree murder and then plead down to maybe manslaughter or negligent manslaughter. But the thing is...
But the race hustlers will never accept that, right? There will be riots. But before we go on, Tommy, is this your sense of humor that you're addressing Sharpton, is that you think he's sincere? I mean, this is a guy that's lied habitually. That whole Tawana Browley case years back, he knew was a hoax. He's incited violence in the past. He's a known liar.
Well, I don't think that. What I would say to Reverend Sharpton on that is, Reverend, I admire your passion, but sometimes you think with your emotions and you rush into things like this. And you believed you were defending this young woman, and what happened is because you thought with your emotions, you rushed into it, you dove head first into this, you destroyed your credibility.
Right. Now, but the thing is, I don't think that, I think that he doesn't care about these people at all. I think he just exploits them for his own political purposes. But we would disagree on that. Go ahead.
I think he cares very deeply.
Well, wait, what do you think he cares about? You think, but if he wait a minute, he has a long record of lying and inciting these racism and all these hoaxes. He's pursuing his own career. He's pursuing a racial agenda.
Well, I don't think that. I think that he is basing his actions on his feelings and his experiences in the past, and he tends not to think things through. He tends to act rashly. He tends to, if he has to lie for the greater good, he will.
But if somebody's lying for the greater good, it means that they don't care about the issue that.
Well, he cares about the greater good. I'm not. Okay, I'm not really defending. I'm not defending him.
Right, but no, I know, but we're disagreeing. I mean, communists allegedly cared about the greater good. They killed 100 million people in the 20th century.
For instance, I admire Karl Marx's passion and what he was trying to do. But it was entirely wrong. He was entirely wrong.
Let's not go there.
Okay, so let's let you go. What do you think of what Tommy's saying here?
Oh, well, Al Sharpton, first of all, there's been all this talk of anti-Semitism that's bubbled to the surface through all of it. Where was Obama? He didn't come out. If it was Muslims, he would have come out and immediately said, oh, everybody don't say anything. But because it's Jews, nobody stepped out. And Al Sharpton has had his own anti-Semitic rants, as with Jesse Jackson as well. I'm not sure whether he had thought things through when he said those terrible anti-Semitic things that he did. Do you think he thought them through, or do you think that perhaps it's just part of his blood that's the way he is, that he loves that challenge, he loves that, he's just an inciter?
I think he is not taking the time to set aside his own personal prejudices, and he is acting solely on his feelings and solely on things that happened to him in the past. And he is, as Jesus would say, trying to kick against a cactus. He's only hurting himself.
Well, I think he's a tyrant. That's my feeling about Al Sharpton. He's a tyrant. He's using race to stir up and to draw blood. Mm-hmm. You're going to the base past. People who use sex and who use race to achieve objectives have always been the same. There's a dishonesty right there. They go past the intellect and they go right for the base reptilian complex in the human being, and they don't care. They just don't care if somebody gets hurt. And then we have a new definition now. We have a white Hispanic definition now, because they thought he was white because of the name Zimmerman, and they were willing to just inflame blacks.
I mean, but
this
people,
was a racial
but people
act,
have
and it
also
wasn't.
died because of Al Sharpton
Yes.
inciting these riots.
He ruined a policeman's life. I mean, this man is.
But
Can I just
yeah.
ask a quick question? Where are the Hispanics? Has
Pro-
anybody
No,
heard
that's
them
a very
come
good
out
question,
and
yeah.
said anything? Are they keeping their heads down? Are they afraid? I mean, did
That's a very good
Obama
question,
ever
yeah.
come out and say support a Hispanic that got shot by a black, which happens all the time in the gang
Yeah,
areas?
absolutely.
But I don't hear a word from them. It's all of us pink folks that the Black Panthers talked about, as pink-skinned folks
Yeah.
that are speaking out.
One second. That's an excellent point. Before we go, one thing about the left, Tommy, and I really need to take this up with you. When you say that you respected Karl Marx's passion, right? I'm just wondering, did you respect Adolf Hitler's passion? Did you respect the Ku Klux Klan's passion? Why is passion for racial hatred considered evil, which it is?
Yes.
But why isn't passion for class hatred not considered evil? Why do you respect passion of an individual that incited class hatred and believed in class hatred and paved the foundation for the millions of deaths in the 20th century?
Well, I'm not saying Karl Marx was at all right, but at the time there were millions and millions and millions of people starving to death.
Okay.
And the system wasn't working, and he had the passion to go forward with a system that he thought would work. It did not. He was wrong. Mm-hmm. However, I admired his passion to do that. Mm-hmm. I believe, and this is a thing.
See, this is where we disagree, is that whether you're talking about Karl Marx or Al Sharpton, what have you, you keep implying that somewhere the intentions of these people are good, whereas I would argue that there's destructive intent here and a thirst for blood. We have to end this first segment. 20 seconds each on Zimmerman and whatever you want to talk about. Go ahead, Dwight.
Well, I think that the Hispanics are all entwined right now with the coach of the Marlins who said he loved Castro. Mm-hmm. So they're lying low down there in Florida. But they're very, very, very ordered, the Spanish mm-hmm. in Florida. And I don't think they're going to put themselves in between the race hustlers and law and order.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting, though, that Georgette, you brought that up, that nobody has said anything about that. Go ahead.
Well, I'm also thinking that why is Obama not also taking the opportunity? He needs the Hispanic vote. If they suddenly
Mm-hmm.
came out and said, we don't like the fact that you've targeted a Hispanic and you don't even know that he's actually committed this deed you've accused him of. So if they would have, he might change his tune. He mightn't say, Trayvon Martin looked like the son I never had, or something, whatever that line was. He might be more careful.
Yeah, I wonder why Obama is not calling that tourist in Baltimore that was attacked by the African-American mob. Do you think he'll call him with compassion soon?
Right.
Tommy, you've been a little bit assaulted during this first segment by the host.
Not
and by
at
the
all.
Time for you to defend
I love
yourself.
a good debate. And
go ahead
and
before we go. Go
And
ahead.
well, I think one thing that could be very counterproductive to the black cause is this white Hispanic thing might possibly polarize Caucasians and Hispanics together and isolate African Americans even further by vilifying white Hispanic. Mm-hmm. That was a very poor move, and again, not thinking it through, acting rashly and causing far more damage than good.
And maybe thinking it through very much indeed would be my argument. Join us tomorrow evening for our second segment where we discuss Sharia winning.